Very good gamers, how are we? This is Games and Chill, and today we are in a new video in the official CHASCA's legendary will. Today we're going to see the poor Chasquificada. I think the concept of unification is going to inherit it from this poor character. Let us see above all really how I feel about the level of power and how strong it may or may not be. That maybe he had more expectations even though he was in the Archon, Nouvellette, Shilonen and Nahida, and yet for the gameplay, I will now tell you what the rotation is. Correct. The exact gameplay, and when you throw the ulti, personally I think I would come to wait. That doesn't mean that the gameplay is spectacular, and above all, it doesn't take away that the leave a good like, a good ulti of Bennett's. Subscriber, leave a good comment for you to see and for all the affection and support. Thank you for everything that's growing from this platform and more that's going to do any more than the arrival of thou Mavuika. We don't know if it's DPS or it's carry, support, sub DPS, on fill, off field, and soon you'll have video. Maybe the same day you're watching this CHASCA will I upload a video talking about Mavuika. And now, yes, as I said, leave a good like, a good ulti of minutes. Remember that are already active there. Blessing Drazo just for commenting, subscribing with bell, leave a comment too. Algorithm and give like to the video. I said comment twice. You are participating by the bendy. If you're eating it, you're welcome to invite you to. Okay. The direct ones in which down the description, and we go with the legendary building of CHASCA. Well, the first thing is that even if you consider damage charged attack your main source of damage, they are indeed what you would consider a burden within your elementary ability. But the scaling is reflected in your elementary ability, with which, just like Mualani and Thi, like Kinne, CHASCA plays 110-10 who likes it very much, or has to prioritize the skill, and you would play 198 as you see here. What are the differences between the ability, Elemental and Ulti? None. Ulti is one more load than it does. Personally, criticism that is opinion, that is really this is subjective. Added to the video but has nothing that, with nothing definitive, nor is it absolute truth. I do not think the kit has gone too far. They said, what do we do with the ulti? We put in one more load. Now, what is the they? Well, look at the amount of text there is. I explain it to you. Basically, you put yourself in the waypointed is special that you will see here gameplays because I have sent them many gameplays to editors, and when you load the bullets are normally filled, and by default they are 3 NMO bullets, 3 bullets of elements, but there's an ascension talent that if you have 3 characters of different elements to CHASCA, i.e. no NMO, you will fill 2 NMO, and that when you've got the bullets full, you're going to shoot automatically, and the bullets that they have an elementary change, that is 4, that have elementary change in principle. Now, I explain why with the cone, the C2 and the C4 you have more extra bullets, because they make 1 more gross damage. An infinity more damage, so you better play 3 characters other than an ammo. Up to C2 on C2, you can take another ammo, but it won't make much sense either, and it suits you. Obviously make these full loaded within your elementary ability that scale with the talent of elementary ability. The does the lot of text. How much cooldown does it have? It has 6.5 cooldown with T, which in the gameplays I will put you in this build and future builds as well that I could record. It basically gives you time if you don't have energy on the team when you finish rotating your own. Elemental to change, make a couple of elementals to throw energy and throw back a combo of energy, even if the DPS is smaller without throwing away the equipment's ultis, i.e. as when new. Belay puts a weird charge out of rotation to make a little time that still has. What does the ulti do? It has 60 cost, it does not generate particles well. In the field, that this is one of the first problems that CHASCA has, which shares it with Ryovsli, and the main Ryovslis know that it is a problem the energy of general equipment, because Ryovsli does not generate very well and CHASCA does not generate very well. And this cost of 60, I think in the kit I commented that perhaps it could have about 130-35 of energy cost. Not friends. It does not generate particles well, and us taking him on a team even with Auroron and Furina Favonius, I think I'm going to recommend some none. 145 at least, and even on some team even more. Now we speak in depth of energy charge. The cooldown of the ulti are 15 seconds, so it adapts very well to 15-second gear rotations, and basically the kit is, and the right combo is, and you will be watching now on screen, so you know how it works. We do elementary. Once you've thrown the team's ultis, you throw 4 loaded. You don't have to do anything. Literally, she's base. And basically unload the 6 bullets you shoot. Repeat the process 4 times, and here comes the trick. She can castrate her ulti even if she is in the air. Then once you see that the loaded room jumped and did the damage, made the sound, automatically before you fall you must throw his ulti. If you do well, you will throw the ulti in the air. That will be, let's say, your 5th load, and will enter into continuing to receive Fiorina's buffs. Bennett's, and with the ulti, you'll do a damage obviously superior to the other loaded, but the ulti works like a loaded one, and literally here it puts a lot of text, but it says the same thing. It says you're going to throw 6 bullets, of which 4 are going to change element, well, of which 3. But then, with 1 talent, there's 1 more that changes, and so on. So that's the gameplay, the kit, and the usage. The enemies to carry bullets. And if you make it perfect and you don't lose seconds, you're going to throw 4 loaded, and you're going to throw the ulti before you fall, before you take off the mount mode, if any. Enemy, you don't point it right and you lose half a second, then you can only do 3. Charged in rotation, and this is very little damage compared to what I really expected now. First talent. This is the talent that makes that instead of the elementary one has 3 anemo bullets. 3 bullets imbued basically, have 2 anemo bullets, 4 imbued bullets. It's a lot of text and the whole story, but it tells you on the one hand that if you carry 3 characters that are not anemo, you will activate 100% chance that that 4th bullet will get stuck. If you only carry 2 characters from a element and an anemo next to CHASCA, that it is of no use to carry any anemo next to CHASCA. You're gonna have a chance that there's 3 anemo bullets, 3 imbued, or 2 anemo bullets. 4 imbued. I do not always recommend carrying 3 different elements, and the other talent of Ascension. That is, when a character approaching the team causes a nighttime explosion, the nighttime burst once every 14 seconds, with which this is not even important. It seems that they have not been involved. A lot in the kit, the truth, knowing that maybe people would ski it for Mavuika because it's going to come out. A bullet chases shadows more out of rotation that will also hurt and also generate you reactions out of the field. Not bad if you have electro consonants for some team of facts that electro-charged is strange from 2 electros a hydro, as it is an extra particle because it is a extra reaction. You know that the electro consonants gives us a particle for each electro reaction, but this doesn't really change much. It's a hit out there random that sometimes you'll see you hit someone, and all of a sudden there's a hit electro that you don't know where it comes from because it's her and it says it's considered damage that loaded. I imagine that his weapon gives you damage that loaded because it is to be Z a little bigger, the little number, and then the other talents are typical of we are in NATLAN, we switch between one character and another. She uses the loose and all these things that already. You know it's the CHASCA kit is extremely simple, and as I said in the first impressions, gameplay, the gameplay that does not damage the gameplay reminds me of Novelette because it's just putting you to try to aim with the load that it has, and you don't have to do anything. I think a positive point is that when you're elevated in the air, there are very few things that can hit you that it has. Resistance to interruption unlike Scaramouche, but that's some strong blow if you can interrupt, and it hurts you a lot, and that it doesn't have much more. I consider it not Polka, but not until Thea. Neither Kinnich nor Mualani's height would be a fairly normal carry, and in my opinion on an optimal team. For now, even though it's no comparison because she's not really a Nemo, if they're Scaramouche they'd be. Over on the other side, she's not a Nemo. She's a really multi-hit elementary mechanic. To make reactions, you would have to test it and talk in this own video of the team building. Elemental Monkey with CHASCA. 3 Pyro supports, CHASCA 3 Electros, CHASCA. What happens at what? Nor do we have to say that so many supports of the same element to be able to do such a thing could play an Electro Monkey from CHASCA official Baidu, because Baidu is activated with loaded, but only like you do 4 loads per rotation, then the closest not elemental mono in the future that will be. Today I bring you the kit of Mavuika, and it seems that it can be the 2 things of 6 support, and that will do they. Support well not as Raiden Mavuika or Link Bennett, but for now we would not have a C. A kind of elementary monkey that out of the field supports CHASCA herself then like everything. Carrie of Nat the new neither Carrie will have improvements in the future and characters to accompany her, but there's the thing still constellations. The cone is a lot of text, but in summary it makes that instead of having 2 bullets and MO4 imbued then make infinite more damage, you're going to have a bullet one. Mount is quality of life to explore, says reduce the cost of Noctamblism points by 30%, and lose of blessing Noctamble to CHASCA when it is not in combat is to explore not. That you are longer in field, C2 number 1, is going to give you an extra hit of 400% attack. That also you can imbue with element, which would be like an extra bullet, would be 6 bullets even if it is not reflected in the load. And aside it says that I don't know if it was here on the C2, I think there is one possibility. I think here is not here at Cone. There is a possibility that you will be activated as well. An extra bullet that would kind of give you the chance to even play with an ammo next to CHASCA, but let's remember that it still matters exactly the same. I remember that when there was the kick the first time I said good if the climbs are the same. I didn't know that the bullet climbs imbued were infinitely larger than the scaled of the anemo bullets, as you could play CHASCA Paruzan Furina Venid. But it is not so scaled. The bullets that are imbued with elements make for 3 times 4 damage of the bullets animals. That is not straw to the anemo, but gives you possibility here of that more bullets are activated imbued. Even if you have an anemo on the spoiler team is useless. I don't recommend it at all. Any more hits, basically more hits and more damage, doesn't have much more mystery. This is more energy and another bullet more than 400% attack, but this is like the C2, which is another additional hit that is not seen in the 6 bullets that come out of the cannon, but is another extra hit that comes out. Besides, you don't see it there, and this is more energy and another bullet. And this is basically a little bit complex, the chicks, but basically works the following form once every 2 loaded through. Charged will not load the bullets one by one to waste time, but will directly shoot without loading the bullets, and can occur once every 3 seconds, with which it literally goes to be a load that you won't need, because that animation that the 6 bullets are lit. That's right. You're gonna do, let's say, twice as many loads, and it also says one of those loads you do. One if one is not going to do 120% more critical damage, because to do brutal damage and then it's got more text, but let's go the typical chicks of a lot of carries that look like they're broken that make much more damage and such, but this will then be to put more bullets faster and more damage in summary, but it's not going to change much either. It's going to improve the gameplay a little bit, I guess, but a little bit more. To those constellations, it's basically the set of obsidian like her when you throw the elemental. Just like Scaramouche, you get a bar that you're watching on screen, and as you see, even if you don't, if you move and everything goes down, but if you don't do anything, it doesn't go down. Slow down, because basically by lowering the bar you already gain the probability of the obsidian set with IT, which as carries will always go with obsidian set, and now the famous attack Kali actually is. As I told you, as it multi-hits many items, you cannot carry bonus damage, with which you must wear an attack Kali, and if you get very good artifacts with it, critical probability and recharge of energy in Substad, the optimal construction, even though you may be surprised to carry the triple attack, and this will tell you why, because as she has the set, and his weapon or an aqua simulacra or some bow you put on him is going to give him critical damage on the side sheet. Naturally, by leveling up, it's also going to gain critical proportion. This is going to make you go to get a critical proportion capio that I told you to exceed 80 counting with a set of plan and reach 250 critical damage and still put on an attack helmet as already base wears. An attack Kali, because you can't give him elemental damage because they do a lot of hits and you can't. Put one of each hit that makes is Pyro Electro raised Hydro because the optimal construction. CHASCA's beat is triple attack, and now many will say for him I'll put triple attack, not because people who still don't match the ratio, including the triple attack, will have to wear helmet. Critical damage until you have some items with very good substats, and including Thou. Attack helmet there if you catch the ratio. This is the clear example here. I wear hull damage, and its proportion is 9250. It is fine if the same proportion is maintained as it is. But with an attack helmet, then it would be right and better the attack helmet. In this case, if we put on an attack helmet, that's not good. Look around here. For example, would you want to look at this one? That with critical proportion that the boy doesn't have it blocked. And I'm going to put it blocked if. That's raised us 43 plus set 83. And then the helmet on your stat tells us 30 or 40 years critical. I doubt it, because then the attack helmet on this CHASCA would be right. And it's still not going up. This would be the construction of CHASCA, not what you're seeing on the screen, but what I just explained. The triple attack, but including the attack helmet, you must cap the ratio, that is to say 43 without the 85-90. With set activated and reach at least 235, 240 or 250 if you are left with critical damage. Helmet attack included if you do not have to wear helmet critical damage to balance the stats. That's basically the topic of the hull attack, and then recharge it nothing of 135 minimum. 145 CHASCA. Generates bad in the field is a character that looked like in the original gameplays looked like a mechanics. New seemed interesting, but to this day it is honestly a bit there and other problems that it has is that the recharge of energy that does not generate particles like Ryodsly, so 45 minimum. So that you can have per multi in each rotation now, in the substats you look for probability. Critical damage, critical attack percentage, and recharge power. Critical damage, critical probability. Everything you can even cap rate proportion, even if you can get him with an attack helmet, including capping proportion and carrying triple attack, then reloading up to 145 and the last. So let's say residual would be the percentage attack, which is the least priority, but also the is useful, even though leading to triple attack weapons is a carry. Your weapon is your best weapon, your Mule. Second best weapon is the water simulacra that is very good for her, and since it is 88 years critical, it will allow you to weather before the critical proportion. Would personally recommend that with water simulacra. Almost all the cases tried to get good items and you already carried it triple attack with 90 of 85 ratio, something like that, and 240, 250 critical damage. And then many will ask me, good, and the master without. Critical damage helmet doesn't hurt it. Gives you bonus damage on the loads, gives you a lot of attack alone. That you would have to take with a master if a helmet critical damage, and if with a master to show you. To weather the proportion with the substats very carefully with that apart from these RCs generally. Of critical probability and critical damage less the arc of the NAE. Because the arc of the NA gives you more attack if there are characters of the same carrier element, and the CHASCA teams are made so that there are no characters of the same bearer element, so the bow of the good NA. If not, you have nothing else, because it gives him critical damage that will still work for him in base attack, and I think it gives him doing nothing 20% of extra attack, i.e. percentage attack. The similar Yoimiya Arch goes well. To give these stats, and the other passive gives damage. Normal attacks of Yoimiya will not serve at the Yoimiya. Critical damage, yes, and after 4 stars in the end, something similar can happen to the master, and the harm arcs would recommend mainly arcs of critical probability or critical damage of 4 stars, and the one that would not recommend in any case is the bow of the battle pass. That it's a hyperbite, that means you don't use the bow of the new battle pass that gives you probability and damage. Manages is terrible and is a gigantic bite. The Arch of the Emerald Green Hunter is not bad, but by the probability, not by the passive, the Dark Crag that also gives you 36 damage. Critical and high base attack is not bad, but as I told you, it happens to him as with the master. If we talk about 4-star arches that damage you in charged attack, i.e. mainly 2, the Massacre Demons from the Forge of Inazuma, and the new arc we have on the banner that is by here, that will also hurt us charged attack, that in fact is as much like a master if you get with refinements. I would even recommend you to put this, which is this one here, basically because the Demon Slaughter and this bow is very similar, because it gives you a lot of attack and damage charged attack. They're not bad like 4 stars, but you must wear a critical damage helmet and make sure to weather the proportion with these 2 arcs, which will require you more sub-story of critical damage and critical probability between one and the other, which is simpler than artifacts. Let's get less probability year critical and get more attack percentage, because I explained this because by discarding and by probability of the game will always be more comfortable bows that give you probability criticism or critical damage, because the proportion is more unlikely for the substance to emerge with which it. But if you get this one right here, or you get the Massacre, hell, Or you got him 5 over there if with that arch and CHASCA included you got to cap the cap. Critical ratio because you have a lot of proportion on your stat and a critical damage hull then. This weapon and the Demon Massacre are also good 4-star weapons, and finally, the stats. So there you have it if you manage to weather the proportion, including obviously the set that gives you 40 more with the helmet attack included. Carrying the triple attack would be the optimal construction with it. More than 145 of recharge and already everything about attacking the attack. Let's say it's not a factor. Worry so much because in the end all the current teams from CHASCA would go mainly with Bennett, which in any case will spare you the attack, and in the future there may be other team combinations where Bennett is gone, but for now the attack will spare you. The ratio is also going to be left over, so it's going to be relatively easy for you to have good teams, and that you have a good critical proportion with the current teams that would be mainly this buy. Last, the teams of CHASCA, I think I would tell you that mainly, and until there is much more tests on the character, there are going to be 2 main combinations. Number combination. One that you see on screen, the one that I have put you in some gameplays of CHASCA, and is CHASCA Furina. Bennett or Ron take advantage of the abysmal boopos of Furina and Bennett, and as Furina and Aron out. They're reapplying Hydro and Electro because what you're going to do is reapply that Electro-charged Yi. So just like CHASCA, like there's a Bennett on the team, some of the bullets will jump Pyro, and those Pyro bullets are going to vaporize over an enemy affected by electrocharged, i.e. will make A vaporized and will make an overload, and here many will tell me, then the masters also. It's okay, so man, residually if you're going to go yes or yes with Bennett on the team you're left with. Not in all cases and not in all teams is going to come perfect that mastery in this, yes, because the other variant that I'm going to recommend from CHASCA equipment that takes advantage of all its mechanics is, like I said before, also spoiler the elementary monkeys in the future, without building a CHASCA. Well built, and you carry mastery and plays an elementary monkey of 3 Pyro, or 3 Electros, or 3 Cryos, or 3 of whatever's there. Master's not going to use it because it's just going to be a CHASCA, and they would actually recommend those elemental monkeys there if you can. Zoteke Pyro Kali, a Cryo Kali if you go 3 Pyro, then Pyro Kali if you go 3 Cryos. But that's more in the future, and that first elemental monkey that I think I can play. CHASCA would basically be CHASCA, Xiangling, Bennett, and Mavuika, and still on that team. Xiangling gives you 20 seconds of cooldown and slows the rotation a little because CHASCA has rotation of 15 as explained earlier, so this computer that you see on screen is the one that is currently the most used and more recommended because they all have 15 seconds of rotation, and the rotation is very frenetic. So little more is the building. CHASCA hasn't been 40, it's been 22 minutes, a bit more. Shorty. This is all we can know today and inquire about the character. I hope that the fall. I hope you'll have a lot of fun with her. I hope you'll be very lucky. That he hasn't pulled it out, and I'm seeing it out of curiosity that I know that lately more and more people are. You don't have the characters but watch all the videos out of curiosity to learn. For improving by helping another fellow friend, whatever it is, so thank you for seeing, even if you don't have. The character is amazing, and little more remember to give you like, subscribe with bell, comment. For algorithm, those who warn to the end, put mummy bike for algorithm in the comments. Be careful to have a very good day, I don't know. And mini there is CHASCA without hat and Chaito, thank you so much.